Welcome to the GT350 garage. My name is Walter and I'm out here with my 66 Shelby GT350. I've been promising the engine teardown video for a while now and it just hasn't happened because work's been crazy busy. For those of you who don't know, I'm an automotive instructor and the program I teach in, things were just crazy busy. A lot going on, and it was simply taking up more time than normal. To top that off, we had the holidays, starting with Halloween, then Thanksgiving, then Christmas and New Year's. And it has been a very wet, very cold fall and now winter here in northern Utah. And that has made it rather impractical to do some of the things that I needed to do. The garage isn't real well insulated, unfortunately, so it takes some time to take the chill off with a heater. And if I can't get out here and work for 2 or 3 hours, it doesn't make sense to take the chill off of this garage, especially when you walk in the door and it's 30, 32 degrees in here and it's single digits or low teens outside. It just sucks the heat out of here faster than you can do anything about it. So, you know, between work, the holidays, and weather, getting this video produced has been a challenge. And what I've decided to do is, rather than show you the entire teardown of the engine, I'm going to show you what failed and what I found when I tore it down. The primary problems, and then I'll explain how I'm addressing them. Okay, so what you're looking at here is a stock 289 rod and piston out of a C-code motor and a 289 HiPo rod and piston assembly out of my engine. There's some obvious differences, namely the bigger bolts. These bolts are actually wider apart. This isn't dedicated connecting rod forging. It's not a standard 289 forging like a lot of people think. The top of the piston on the C-code has a dish that's about 2 inches in diameter, and that brings the compression down. On the HiPo, it's a flat top with 4 eyebrow reliefs, and the eyebrows are larger than a standard 289. So that was kind of a nice little change, but they're not much larger. So what was wrong? Well, the first thing is, if you're paying close attention, you'll see that I've got this funny stack of rings here. And no, I didn't break these taking them off the pistons. These are the rings out of the engine. And this ring, if you can see how shiny it is here, this ring has been spinning very fast in the bore. And that has to do with the way the engine was built. The face on the ring is sharp and clean on this one. You can see all the way around. So this one, it appears good, but it's not. It's actually spun so fast that there's a lip on the actual ring where it wore the ring grooves on the pistons. These should be shiny, but more importantly, these should be connected, and they're not. These all came out of the engine this way. That's right. 5 of the cylinders had broken rings. So that's huge. I was extremely pleased with my decision to pull the engine out, but I was disappointed in the condition of the engine. This is this is kind of mortifying when you pull something apart and you find this. So broken rings, and here you can see, let's see if we can do a good job of putting them side by side. You can kind of see the discoloration on this ring where exhaust gases were just getting right by it. It wasn't sealing, obviously, because it was broken, so it had no tension on the cylinder wall. So these were some issues, but the real big issue here, and let me get this rod out of the way. The real big issue here is the engine had a vibration, and I've mentioned that previously. The vibration was significant, and now I'm going to show you how significant. So here's our rods and pistons out of my 289 HiPo. You'll note that this has the full ribs here on both sides. Actually, let me zoom in here. You'll note that this has the ribs are intact. Now, rut row, look what's missing. The ribs are gone. Somebody has taken a grinder to this thing in hopes of balancing it. But more so, if you look at the piston, you can see where this one has this machine cut, broach cut, if you will, to reduce the weight out of the piston to match the set. This one, it's flat, completely flat, no broach. An even bigger cut. Notice this one is two different pistons. Or it seems like two different pistons. So here you've got this side skirt, and here it's ground away to lighten the piston on this one. Completely ground away to take weight out of the piston. Okay? So this one, it's also ground away to take weight out of the piston. So they've broach cut, they've ground. This vibration that the engine had was pretty significant. And whoever worked on this engine, we've got massive modification made to the pistons to try and make these things balance out. Okay, here we've got the sides are cut away, the tops are cut down. This one, the top's cut so far down that it's exposed this area right here. We look at this one, that area is still there. So basically, I believe this engine vibrated itself to death. And that probably contributed to breaking the piston rings. In fact, I'm positive of it. I don't know if you can quite see in here, but these are genuine Ford pistons. And I've never seen a set this far modified, this far gone. Now, what I can't determine is I can't see where these were ever taken apart to weigh the pistons individually from the rods. I believe what happened is somebody tried to weight match a set of rods and pistons that were assembled. And to whomever did that, shame on you. That's just bogus. So you know, obviously this was done before my parents acquired the car, but you can see that this rod is severely modified. This rod's not modified at all. This one's had the ribs ground down a little bit. This one, there's a little bit of modification in here. Some of the ribs removed. This one, the pad has been removed in SOT as well as the ribs. The pad and the ribs have been modified on this one. This is just a lousy bit of machine shop work, and whoever did this back in the 70s or 80s when this was done, they were clearly not qualified to be doing engine balancing, because they didn't know what they were doing. And there was no sign of any balance work done to the crankshaft itself. So they're trying to make the rods and pistons balance without addressing the crankshaft. And you don't do that. You can't do that. It doesn't work. So what we've got is a set of 289 HiPo rods that honestly, that one's good. That one's good. That one's still usable. This one and this one might be usable, but this one, in my opinion, is toast. I wouldn't run that rod again. I wouldn't run that rod again. I probably wouldn't run this rod again. It basically, whoever did this destroyed a set of 289 HiPo rods, and these things aren't cheap these days. These are not going back in the engine. They're just not. I'm not going to mess with them. It's not worth the time and the effort to put a stock 289 HiPo rod into the build that I'm doing. So I'm using a set of Eagle H-beams. The rods that I'm using, I actually had them weight matched to the pistons. Very minimal grinding required. Super clean setup. And you guys will get to see that during the engine assembly portions of my videos. But this is what I found wrong with the engine, and it's kind of a shame because somebody basically trashed this set of rods and pistons. I mean, I've seen some shoddy machine work. I wasn't expecting this when I took it apart. Okay, so there we have it. That is what was wrong with my engine. Busted rings and a terrible attempt at balancing an engine with clearly no expertise in balancing the engine. I've been doing this for a long time. I built my very first engine in 1991. That was 30 years ago. And I'm telling you, I've never seen a balance job this bad. This is, to steal an expression from my kids, this is a dumpster fire, okay? And you shouldn't have to deal with this. Make sure you build a rapport with your engine builder, with your machinist. Make sure that you're getting what you want. Get references from other people who have used these machine shops and engine builders. Don't just pick a number off of the internet, or, I mean, nobody uses phone books anymore, but you don't just pick a number out of the phone book, okay? Don't go to a guy because he's the cheapest. Go to somebody because they're the best. My machinist, I've worked with him for almost 25 years. He is a professional. He has a personal work ethic that he will do exactly what I ask him to do, and he wants to make sure that what I get is exactly what I wanted. That is something that is hard to find. If you need a recommendation, reach out to me, reach out to other people in the industry, but don't just blindly pick, because blindly picking someone to do something where you've got thousands of dollars invested could cost you thousands of dollars that you just throw away and you don't get back. You definitely don't want to do that. In this particular case, I know for a fact this engine had multiple sets of rod bearings put in it. I know from the additional receipts that I've found going through the paperwork I have on the car, this engine has only been in the car maybe 10,000 miles since this was done. And so the wear on the rings, the broken rings, everything that I found, it's just horribly disappointing. But at the same time, I'm glad I pulled the engine out. I'm glad I trusted my instincts and said, there's something wrong with this thing. It's got to come out. And I was right in that. It needed to come out. It needed to be gone through. It needed to be taken care of. When it's done, it's going to be an absolute monster. And I can't wait to share the details of the build with you guys in future videos. On that note, if you want to see those videos, hit that subscribe button. Give the video a thumbs up if this helps you learn and understand a little bit about what not to do when you're balancing an engine. And if you have any questions, leave a comment or hit me up on Instagram, Facebook, or by email. All the information's in the description below. With that, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.